Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. You guys saw the video before last. I purchased a whole bunch of motorcycles, started to look through them. So without wasting any time, welcome back. This is video number 2. Let's start with the other Honda that I haven't looked at yet. Very briefly, with little effort, let's see if we could. Hey, look at that. This one lights up. Okay. So 0, it is in neutral. Wow.
It wants to start. There's a crack in the exhaust.
So it's trying. I mean, I don't want to say motor seized, but sure as heck could be seized. Let me lean it more onto the side. Okay, well, this one, by the sounds of it, just initial reaction, it is so darn old that it probably hasn't had fluid go through it in, shoot, long time that the starter, look, it doesn't even want to spin. And I'm assuming because it's probably seized up inside from the corrosion and lack of use, if that makes sense. But we do have power on this one, so that's obviously a good sign. Let's take a look at that headlight. Look at that, it works. Honda Dunlop tires. I don't know if I'll be able to get this one going. Actually, I'm curious if I put it in gear and push it. Maybe try to start it like a bump start, if that makes sense. If that would get the internals kind of going and moving.
Do you think it has a choke?
Yes, it should have a choke. Where? I don't know. But that is not our priority right now, just because it doesn't even turn the engine over.
It has a choke.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Oh, did
Whew.
it turn the choke?
Look at that, this brake pedal just disappeared. Look at that, nothing. Just nothing. Okay, well, I mean, oh, here's our choke. Got something. Oh, it almost seemed like it wanted to turn.
Dad, I think I see a fuel line. I think that's a fuel line.
Look at that, it's almost trying, but not really.
Let me show you.
Low effort, and we didn't really get far.
Dad, what's that?
What's what?
That?
That is our Peacock. It turns on and off the fuel from the tank to the carburetor.
Did you turn that?
It did, yeah. But no, the problem is the engine isn't spinning. That's our issue. If it would have spun and it didn't start.
If we put this engine inside?
Yeah.
That could work.
Well, I mean, that's what you get for, what, 133 bucks, 133 bucks. You get a whole bunch of metal, some leather, plastic, and etc. Volts, it's reading low. I mean, let's check my jump box. I know I had it charging, but maybe I need to put it on to charge again. Oh yeah, wow. Why is this so darn low? That definitely should not be this low. Oh yeah, that is low. Okay, well, I will put it to charge, and then, I mean, maybe that's our issue. Not enough juice to spin it. We'll see.
The next day.
It is a new day. I have started my part out process. I did not get very far, but man, I always struggle removing these one-way bolts, screws, security bolts, whatever you want to call them. I tried multiple methods, and the one I always resort to is just cutting this stuff off. But if you guys have advice for me, please let me know in the comment section. But I did get kind of behind everything, and I did pull off the electrical connection from this bike, since I do have a key for this one. And I started to pull that one apart, took off this seat, had to loosen the plastic stuff, and then with the screwdriver basically pushed this down so I could remove the seat, then remove the bolt, moved this to the side, and just now pulled out this electrical connection, which is obviously no good for this bike. The reason why I'm kind of doing it this way is because for all other bikes that I've had, like this one, for example, I was able to purchase ignition, cylinder key, and then the fuel door key. And most of them come with like the security trunk space key. So it's a whole set. For this bike, no idea why, they only sell the ignition cylinder, which obviously if I have the ignition cylinder but I can't get into the fuel door, then that's kind of dumb and defeats the purpose. But I do have this one, so my goal right now is to connect this somehow to this bike and see if I could get this bike to run. If I can, then I will move forward with getting a title for it, and I will plan to retail this one.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Wish me luck, guys. Key in, ignition on, beautiful. We have a turn signal on. I believe this was choke from the other bike. It's in neutral. Okay, I do believe that the fuel was on. Okay, it is on. Wanted to move it around so that oil and whatnot goes in it. Come on. I mean, the fact that it turns. Oh, there we go. Look at that. We have a running bike. More on the choke. There we have it. So now I can freely move forward, get a title, and start planning to retail this bike. If it runs, I'm assuming it will shift great. That's actually a pretty darn decent rumble for what it is. Okay, so now I think I will get a new ignition with a key and then pull off the fuel door from the other bike because I have a key for that. So kind of one will be ignition, one will be fuel door. It will work. It's not the best ideal scenario, but I mean, I could get one from a used bike, so part out bike online. They're $120. I don't want to pay that much money when I could get a new ignition cylinder with a key for like 25 bucks and swap stuff over. Anyways, it all makes sense in my head. I apologize if, you know, I'm not portraying it the way I should, but this one is good. Now look, just as a comparison between this bike and this one, look at how sideways the frame is on this one and it's straight on this bike. So this is why I am parting this one out, because the frame is twisted. It obviously had damage, but we're just gonna move forward. The other thing is I don't have a brake lever on this one, but I do have it on that one. So essentially from two bikes, I'll make a really nice one bike. Just honestly don't know what to really do with this one. It's actually broken. I just now noticed that. So I'll probably get a new one for it. The one I had on this one was also broken, unfortunately. Let's rev it up. See how it sounds. Beautiful. Okay, very happy, very happy. Leave that there. I am going to put everything on pause. As you guys can see, I threw it on a trickle charger. It's charging. It obviously started on its own, so battery is good, but we are going to charge it up. If not, literally I would have pulled that battery and threw it in there, but we have two good batteries, and I will continue to pull parts off of this one, list them for sale, sell them, and moving forward, fixing this bike. By the way, I failed to mention that the black Kawasaki Ninja, that's also a running bike. Here's a quick video of it running I took before I started to pull things apart. So I know the battery is good on that bike, the engine is good on that bike, super low mile. And this is typically what I try to do before I start pulling bikes apart. Get them running if I know for sure it's going to be a part out. That way I have a video proof that the engine runs, the bike runs, and with a clear conscience, I could sell the engine as a good running engine. And the Black Ninja, I also took it down the street, through a few gears. It runs great, but obviously with the frame twisted, I have absolutely no intention of retailing it. So part out it is.
Several days later.
New day.
Hi. I'm gonna be with you guys today.
Yes, he is. So here's the update. This bike, haven't touched it at all. This one, as you can see, I have already started the part out process. Bunch of parts right here that I will be taking to the lot because I have a storage room there. That bin is filled with parts. That's another engine from a different bike. Yeah, this bike is more or less complete, but the frame is most definitely tweaked. And you could see a kink right here, and it basically got shifted. This one will also be a part out. This one I am working on. Ignition actually got delivered yesterday, so that's on today's list, and then maybe I'll be able to take it out for a ride down the street, see how it actually feels and runs. This other Kawasaki, I am taking it to my mechanic. It cranks, it turns over, but it doesn't start. From me kind of poking around, the Peacock is fine, but there's like all of these air hoses and vents that kind of go nowhere. They go up here, and it's like make-believe hoses. So I think it's just not making the correct suction or airflow, if that makes sense. Like even this, I don't know if it needs to be this way. But my mechanic actually started with motorcycles. He grew up on motorcycles, and I was like, hey, do you want to work on a bike? He was extremely happy, but he's like, man, if you get me back into bikes, I don't know what I'm gonna do. He's like, that's my soft spot. So I am taking 2 of these bikes to him, and hopefully I will get him back in running condition. And actually my other thought process is the 2 older Hondas, offer those to him to sell. I'm not looking to make a lot of money, maybe 500 bucks a piece, maybe 300 bucks a piece. I don't know. I'll offer the bikes to him. I don't know if I just want to part them out. They're so big, so bulky. They're older bikes. I did get them for dumb cheap, but he loves to tinker with them, and if he could get them running, and I don't think it's anything major. The one that's inside the garage, I think it needs a new starter because battery is good and you turn it on and you could hear the starter, but it seems like it's not grabbing. Bless you.
Thank you.
I feel like at those miles, that's probably what it is. The other one, from what I saw, has a blown fuse. So maybe replacing that fuse, and it's a metal fuse, so it's not one of these fuses that are in here. It's a metal fuse that gets connected from one point to another, from like here to here, but it's obviously a smaller one. And I do not stock those fuses. I have the regular fuses in various sizes and ampage, but not the metal ones. So I figured down the road, I'll probably try it, but for now, moving on with what I have, especially that I have the titles for these bikes and I can sell them before summer's over.
Several days later.
It is now a few days later. It is actually very late. It's almost 9 o'clock. Today was a very, very hot day in the Portland area. 108 degrees, and it's probably close to 98 right now. So I'm working late. I wasn't able to work during the day. It was absolutely hot. We're not used to it here. So it was a scorcher, unbelievably hot. But good news is my mechanic sent me a video. The Kawasaki, the 2014, is up and running. He basically said you'll just need to install a new battery and etc., just the minor stuff. So I have batteries. Hopefully one of them will fit the bike. I did buy a new battery cover, so on the side, so the battery doesn't fall out. I bought a new ignition and then a new tank cover for that Kawasaki. Now this one, last clip, well, 2 days, 3 days ago when I was showing you guys and recording, I showed you that I did get a new ignition. This is what it took. Grinding off, and I didn't want to take off all the plastic stuff, so it was handlebars to the left, handlebars to the right with a grinder wheel, if that's what it's called. And I cut a bunch of stuff off just to get it off. So I'll have to clean all of this up. I am going to connect the wiring right now. If the bike starts with the new wiring, then I will need to find 2 new bolts or screws to hold the new ignition on, and then this bike is essentially ready to go. I don't know what I will do about the fairing here. I will probably get some kind of touch-up paint, even if it's going to look a little bit like doo-doo. It'll look better than what it looks like now. Title has been applied for, waiting on that. Obviously clean it up. But at the very least I could start writing it, make sure it's mechanically sound before I actually send it off to the new home. Aside from that, not much has happened. I'm hoping to pick up the Kawasaki tomorrow and hoping to get this Kawasaki at least mechanically up and running with a turn of a key tonight.
The next day.
Okay guys, well, I picked up the KLR from my mechanic. It does run great. The exhaust I thought would be a little bit loud, maybe obnoxious, but it's not. And then I ran out of fuel. I checked before I left. Seemed like we had about here, so I figured, what's 15, 20 miles? It should make it. But now I'm thinking it could have been old fuel, so it started to burn it a lot faster than I expected. It is 100 degrees out right now. I don't know if the video will kind of show you guys the justice. But the breeze is actually fairly nice. It's not too terrible. Unfortunately, this is the second time that this has happened to me. The other time I actually made it across the bridge and I died. Thankfully I happened to die right here instead of somewhere in the middle. But for the last half a mile I already started to feel it, that it was starting to act up a little bit. I was like, man, watch me run out of fuel. And then I gave it gas and I heard it choke and I was like, okay, I'm gonna pull off to the side. I'm not going to risk it. So here we are. Battery will need a jump. It comes on, but it doesn't turn. It doesn't have enough juice. I do have a jump box with me. For some reason, I didn't think about fuel, unfortunately. But it's a good experience. But we have a running bike. The one thing I did notice, the speedometer doesn't work. RPMs, temperature gauge, all of that works. All of that is beautiful. But the speedo itself doesn't work. And thankfully now okay, there we go. Well, there's our, right here. So let me see if I could get that connected to the cluster, because here's our speed sensor, and I've pulled out or apart a few of these bikes, so I kind of know what I'm looking at. By the way, this is what I look like. T-shirt, fanny pack, jeans, on the darn freeway. But everything could be a lot worse. I'm good, everything is great. So let me see if I could get this connected, and then maybe the finishing ride I will have a working cluster or speedo. Oh man, something tells me I won't be able to. Yeah, I see it. It is right there. So it's not connected to the cluster. So here's what I'm thinking, to be honest. I'm going to get this bike home. I will maybe clean it up a little bit as much as I can. Get rid of stuff like this. And I'm going to list it for sale. Mechanically, it runs great. It has a few minor things to kind of tighten up, stuff like this. See that? That's a little bit loose and it has to go right here. So I'll connect that. I'll put a new battery in it. I do have a battery cover on the way. I have a new ignition cylinder and ignition with a fuel door right here on the way. Unfortunately, they will get here only in about 2 weeks. I did not order a new one because I didn't know if my mechanic would be able to figure out the no start issue, and when it started I don't know how the engine would have sounded like, so I didn't want to buy it and then return it if anything. So the night he called me and told me it's ready to go, that's when I ordered it, and unfortunately it's going to take about 2 weeks to get here. So I am going to turn off the video, see if I could reach back here some way, somehow, and get that speed sensor connected, and we'll go from there. We got a knight in shining armor homeboy stopping by. I'm assuming he's coming back here to make sure I'm okay. This is why the riding community is so great. Literally 5 seconds after I stop the video, we're gonna walk up to him. Okay, I might look stupid to you guys. There he goes. That's all he did. Stop by to make sure I was okay, which I appreciate. Told him I ran out of fuel. He goes, okay, simple enough. Told him I have someone coming back with a jug of fuel, but bless that guy. So let's get back to this and see what we could make happen. Unfortunately, it's too tight. I'll have to take off this stuff to get to it. So we'll be riding with no Speedo the rest of the way home. But now we wait for my wonderful wife to come with some fuel.
A few moments later.
There goes Knight in Shining Armor, part 2. And I really do mean that. I mean, honestly, it's very sweet. These people don't know me. They don't know who's gonna be on the side of the road. Could be some maniac, especially in the Portland area. I don't know who you're gonna encounter, but I really do appreciate these two guys stopping by. Car kind of slow down from here, yell out the window, see if I'm okay. So people are definitely checking. There's the one to always help and save. Oh, look at that. I have made it home in one piece. Okay, honest impressions, because I've never owned a dual sport. Haven't even really been on one, but it is definitely a cool experience. I would say it's a great bike, especially for like daily commute. It is very comfortable. It obviously has big shocks in the front. Can't see the rears, but absorbs bumps very well. You sit up high. You almost, to some extent, feel very visible on the road. Just the sheer size of this thing, it's pretty big. So I feel like people see me, it's probably a safer option out of a lot of motorcycles on the road. It did very well up to higher speeds. Obviously Speedo doesn't work, so I have literally no idea how fast I was going. I mean, it's a nice bike. It's a really nice bike. And I was riding, and I was thinking, man, maybe I should finish it up. So this is the concoction that the mechanic basically did. Removed that nonsense, got it closer, and then I was thinking maybe just get rid of it like this. But then I'm thinking, man, what's a wire? Like a positive cable and then a negative cable for the motorcycle. It goes here. Obviously, if I remove, I mean, I don't know where this goes, but if I remove the C, I'm sure I could find the negative cable, positive. Okay, what's 10-15 bucks? I did order a cover for the battery here. I think I have the exact battery that I need. So not a lot of work from my end to get it where it needs to be. Obviously I still need to take care of that, which will be another day's project. And the Kawasaki I was working on yesterday, it did not start. It cranks, but it doesn't start. And then I installed the old ignition, or from the other bike that I had, and it started half a turn. So I started to do some research. I guess the aftermarket ignition switch, it doesn't have a resistor in it. This resistor on the OEM one somehow is connected to the PCM, which gives the engine spark. Aftermarket ones don't have it. So I reached out to Nick. Nick said he'll be able to help. I will probably do that tomorrow. But I think we're moving along, and I think I will have to end the video very soon, just so that it doesn't get very long. Just as planned, I am working on cleaning everything up. She runs, so I could kill that, turn that off for now. Okay, so here's what I did. I got rid of this nonsense, whatever it was. I ran a new wire. So these, what my mechanic said, are most likely like from lights or something along the lines. They're not related to the battery. And then, oh, it's still on here. So this nonsense is still here. I will take that out because I wanted to make sure that the new one would work. And this is from a Yamaha V-Star, so 650, same CC. It's a little bit thicker than obviously this wire. So I think everything is great. I will probably put electrical tape around these. I don't know what they're for. I don't want anything to short. Kind of maybe clean this up a little bit somehow. I don't know how yet. because obviously I'm just trying to piece together certain things. This battery is from a different bike. I don't remember which bike, but it was a good battery. I had it on a trickle charger. It's charged up, obviously started the bike on its own. It's a perfect fit. The only other thing I'm kind of waiting for is I'm assuming this screw comes out and then there's a cover that goes right here, which has been ordered from, I think, Partzilla days ago. So it should be here any day now. And then next thing on my list is take off this. As you guys can see, I kind of started to mess with it, see what's what. I will take that off, connect the speed cable, and I think once everything is put back together, I will take it out on another ride, make sure everything is great. And then realistically, I will probably list it for sale like this, and then just give the new lock, ignition cylinder and the gas cap with keys once it gets here. I mean, for all I know, it might not sell by then, but I just want to move on, free up some space, move on to other bikes and etc. Because this one runs mechanically sound. Most of these other bikes don't run, or like the other Kawasaki, it runs, but I need title for it, so I can't sell it. This is the only bike that runs. It's essentially turnkey at this point, and I can sell it. So that's exactly what I want to do, get some cash out, and then potentially reinvest to another bike and do as many as I can before summer is over.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the bike is done and ready to be listed. Obviously, I did not wash it. That's the one thing I'd probably recommend. This is a little bit loose. I put it on zip ties, but it makes noise when you turn it. Basically, the plastic against plastic is committing crime. The ignition, obviously, but that's on the way. Battery cover's on the way. Aside from that, I would say that's it. It actually has a handful of aftermarket parts. Like that's aftermarket, these are aftermarket, exhaust is aftermarket. I saw, I think, something in here with the aftermarket. Oh, right there. Black Path. I don't know what's all been done to the bike. I do know it runs great. I did take it out on the freeway. It's obviously not leaking anywhere. It was parked here since the last time I rode it. Great bike. It handles well. It rides great. Tires are basically new. I mean, for what it is, I think it's pretty great. And like I said, I'll be asking a fair price for it. But we did get one bike done. Whole bunch still in my garage to work on.
Much later.
If you guys are following the channel, I have been doing a whole bunch of motorcycles this year. A bunch. I mean, tens and tens and tens of motorcycles. So sometimes the videos and the process, everything takes longer. Summer's kind of over and I'm just now wrapping up with some of these bikes. So if you made it thus far, first of all, thank you. And second of all, we're going to go through a few of these bikes and kind of what I did with them. So the first one was the 1978 Honda. That was the one without fenders and whatnot. I sold that bike for 350 bucks. I made $181 on it. I didn't do anything. I did actually get that bike started. I will throw a clip in here if I have one. So you guys heard the bike runs. I didn't ride it, I didn't put it into gear. I just started it, let it run for like 30 seconds, took a video, posted it. Gentleman came out, said, hey, perfect, this is my first bike. I'm looking for a project, wanting to learn about bikes. So $350, that one went out the door. The big one, I didn't start it, I didn't replace the fuse, and I sold that bike for 400 bucks. So I made $231 on that bike. Big heavy bike. I had no interest in parting it out. That one went fairly quick. The 2004 Kawasaki, the 500, the purple silver one, fixed it. I had it listed for 1,600 bucks, had interest, had people offering like 1,200, whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not interested in selling it for that cheap. It's a good running bike, aftermarket exhaust, it runs great. I don't want to sell it cheap. But then I ended up with like 12 motorcycles in my garage, and I was like, wait, I just gotta get rid of something. So I listed that bike for $1,000, which is obviously lower than what I was offered prior, and I sold it that day. Guy came from 2 hours away, it was cold, and he essentially rode it home. I made $566 on that motorcycle. The other one that's a part out, that one already paid for itself. I have no idea how much money I've made on that bike thus far, but I still have the engine and a few various other parts for it. So engine, I'm asking like $600 for it, and I paid $209 for that bike. Without shipping, I mean, just after fees, $209. If I sell the engine for $600, there's triple my profit plus the other parts. But that bike has been pulled apart to the frame, and parts have been listed and ready to go. The last one is the Kawasaki, the KLR 650. I still have that bike. I had it listed for sale. And then I had a friend reach out and said, hey, I have a similar bike, a dual sport, but it's down right now and I can't ride it. I doubt that I'll fix it, but I have a trip planned with friends, few 100-mile trip through back roads and etc. Can I borrow your bike? No problem. So he came, he picked it up, he took it for like 4 days, did his few 100-mile run. Bike runs great. He said they call it the Zip Tie Warrior. Yeah, it ran great mechanically. He came back after his ride and basically said, hey, towards the end it was starting to bog down. Maybe air filter got clogged up, maybe carb needs a cleaning, etc. And so I parked the bike, it sat for a little bit, and then I tried to start it and it cranks, but it doesn't start. So similar issue to what I had when I first bought it. So that's the only bike that I still have that I purchased like in that clump, and when I have time I will take that bike and another bike to my mechanic, have them fully clean the carb. If we need to do an air filter replace, then maybe for springtime I will sell it. So unfortunately that's the only one I do not have, but from selling all the other bikes, KLR essentially ended up being free. A lot has happened, a lot was done with all of these bikes. I would do it again. I made money. I gathered, knowledge from various aspects of it. I want to say thank you for watching. Consider subscribing. Let me know what you guys think about all of these motorcycle videos. And don't be afraid to leave a comment. I will see you guys in another video.